Hey everyone, and welcome back to the JustNabz podcast with me, Nabila, and
Nabil, hello.
hey, what's up?
Quite fine, thank you. Quite a mayhem around the world, isn't it?
Yes, it's been one hell of a week.
Yeah.
Not even a week. It was a day.
Yeah, it's basically a couple of days at most, but yeah, basically mainly a day.
But
And it
personally,
all,
world issues aside,
I think, quite fine, thank you. As I said some time ago, my life is getting increasingly boring, so yeah, it's still going on that path.
okay, so the Tinder and all that, haven't met the girl in the library yet.
Not yet, because libraries are still closed.
Oh,
So,
okay.
oh no, actually, I went to a library the other day, but yeah, I mean, didn't quite have any luck.
Okay.
Oh wow! I mean, thank God for the mayhem. At least we have content.
Oh
Otherwise,
yeah,
we'd be
yeah, yeah,
stuck.
yeah. Because I was thinking, I was like, oh, what do we talk about this week? And then this just happened. So we are not. I'm not a politician or politics inclined, or with my professional opinion. I don't have professional takes. So whatever I say is just going to be coming from a common citizen witnessing events and how it looks to my eyes, with some facts in it, because I mean I have been doing some research from then until now. So yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm a bit more into politics, I'd say, but I think that it would be both boring and maybe inappropriate to get into politics because the issues we're seeing, they of course they're politics related, but I think they deserve to be uh, seen and looked at in a bit of a wider in a wider way. So yeah, I don't think it's all about politics. It's
Mm-mm.
politics which is actually some part of politics that's fueling some instincts, some primal instincts in some people. Um, but yeah, I don't care about politics at the moment. It's not just about that.
I just remember, for as long as I can remember, ever since I was a kid, I think about 7 or 8, I think, it's always been, I've always seen America as the bad guys. And whenever people would be like, land of the free, I never really understood the deeper issues, but as a kid, whatever I saw on the surface and in the news, it was always just like, okay, these are the bad guys, but I just never understood why. And I think as I get older, and more get fed more information, I start to understand what the deeper rooted issues are in the country and how they impact the rest of the world. Yeah, so this should be an interesting discussion.
Yeah. Well, okay. I was born in '96, so 5 years later, there was the whole September the 11th, the 9/11 terrorist attack, and
Oh,
from
so
there,
you were still you're still kind of a baby.
yeah, I was. I mean, I just remember I was sitting in the living room, and I remember my mother looking at the TV, and then calling my dad and saying, "Oh, this happened."
Mm.
That's all I can remember, but I can't remember any common sentiment. Also because I didn't have any any contact maybe with elder people who could actually process and see the
Mm.
consequences of such actions. But yeah, I mean, since then, we've all seen what the US has been doing in the
Mm.
Middle East, and the way I see it is the US. is too different inside. It has so many differences and divisions, and they've always been there. They are just coming out now, maybe in a more profound way, but they've always been there, those differences. And it is a land of opportunity for some. It is not a land of opportunity if you're looking to have a regular job, let's say, like I don't know, being a worker who's mainly going to be underpaid and with no medical attention and everything. But it is a land of opportunity if you have an idea and you want to start a business. So there's always two faces about the US. I cannot fully hate them, but I cannot fully love them either. It's always there in the beginning. That's that juxtaposition of different levels.
Yeah, it's not first on my travel list. I'll tell you that. But so you said when 9/11 happened, you were still kind of small. I was already in primary school. So for me, that's where I first encountered Islamophobia, because obviously at that age that I was at the time, kids didn't really understand what was going on. And so they were just fed, what the news was saying, blaming Muslims for this. It was a terrorist attack, calling Muslims terrorists. And so obviously they were just running with this, and then they associate that with, oh, there's a Muslim kid in my class, let's, they are responsible for this. I don't know what their thought process was, but we'd get kids who were then blaming us for this terrorist attack. And I'm like, how? I was so confused, because I'm like, we were in school together at the time. We are in South Africa. How does this even make sense? So I think ever since then, it got my brain working. Like, why? What's the connection? What's the whole issue? And then, yeah, well, so lucky my parents are quite involved in activist work and activism. So, they could explain to me what was going on. And so I think that I was radicalized at a young age.
Yeah, but the thing is that the problem with the US, it's that it's not able to hold some people accountable. So what George W. Bush did in the Middle East, invading Iraq, going in Afghanistan, and torturing people, that's helped radicalizing the right mainly, and it helped fueling the Islamophobia in the US and then in the rest of the world, because at least up until now, our Western civilization depends hugely on the US and Israel to some extent. But at the same time, no one has been accountable for what they've done. So when we had Mussolini, or when Germany had Hitler, so Germany has been able to bring every single Nazi to trial, that Nuremberg famous trial. So they put a full stop on Nazis. We took Mussolini and hanged him upside down in a square with his lover and a couple of his fellas, and we just hung them in a square. Pictures are there. So if you're fascist, the first thing that you're going to be shown is that's the end that fascists have. That's the end point. That's where you're going. But the US has never had this. The US now, Donald Trump is literally the worst president any country could ever have.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be held accountable. So yeah, everyone is talking about now about the 25th Amendment, which is basically getting rid of him and some others are talking about impeachment and everything. But yeah, here it is. Here he goes home, and then what? Nothing is going to happen because the US is not able of holding its representatives accountable.
The whole US system was built for these people. These same people
Yeah.
that are attacking and on Capitol Hill or whatever, these people, the system was made for them. They're not going to be held accountable. Policing systems were made for them. It was to protect them from black and indigenous people. So the system protects them. They're not going to be held accountable. They're not going to be punished because everything that America stands for is for these people. So you're getting a lot of people saying, if this was Black Lives Matter, we would be shot dead, we'd be dead. Indigenous people fought for not for even fought, they were protesting, protecting their land. They were shot, killed, attacked, tear gassed. And the same thing is not happening to these people.
Yeah, I've seen also a video of a police officer helping a woman down the stairs.
Yeah.
And
Taking
I was
selfies with them.
thinking, yeah, okay, I was thinking that maybe, just maybe, some people on the right should just understand that the whole Black Lives Matter movement was nothing else than asking for black people to be treated just like white people. So if you see a black rioter, instead of shooting him dead, maybe help him down the stairs, since
Not
we
even
can
a rioter.
all deserve.
It was peaceful protests.
Right, even take a rioter. You've helped rioters down the stairs, so you should be helping. No, now that woman I saw in the video genuinely couldn't take the stairs alone, so she did need assistance. But I remember during the Black Lives Matter movement, some elders have been punched and pushed, and I remember this one man who was pushed and fell over and just blacked out. But I think, and I
The
hope it's
videos
okay
that came out
now.
of the Black Lives Matter protests were horrific.
Yeah,
It was awful, and what we're seeing now is the ultimate. This is putting white privilege, white power, white supremacy on the world stage. This is the real America. This is what the country is about. This is they stole the land, took it, did whatever they wanted, and now they're showing the world their true colors.
well, okay, yes, they did steal the land, but that's historic. I mean, we Italians
And
would not
it
be
is
living
historic,
here
but
if
it plays a role in what's happening today.
it does. But I mean, every single country at the moment has stolen land from someone else at some point. That's why even on the Middle East, in the Middle East, I say that about Israel and Palestine. I think that's just another piece of history, and they both need to exist because every single country at some point in history has stolen land from someone else. But the thing about the US is, I think, is that in the past few years, these alt-right movements have been getting on with the whole free speech and everything. Everyone is entitled to say whatever they want. These hogs do not deserve any attention, do not deserve any right at the moment. So if you go and riot and go to the Capitol Hill, which is basically the main symbol of a democracy, you should lose every single right you have as a person, as a citizen, not as a person, but as a citizen. You shouldn't be able to walk out of there at any given point. You should be locked in there until you're brought to justice. That's how I see it. And these hogs has been having it their own way for these past few years, and I'm sick and tired
Past
of
few
it.
decades, if we're being honest. They just so
Yes and
now
no.
they're getting this confidence because they're being allowed platforms. Facebook, Twitter, I don't know what
Yeah,
other sites. Everyone gives them the platform. It enables them. Trump enables them. He encourages them. He eggs them on. And so this is where this confidence builds, and they've, now they've taken it offline and in real life, like, oh, Trump has our back. The man won't take a bullet for you. You are
yeah,
taking bullets for someone who doesn't even give a shit about you.
yeah. That's true. Absolutely. But yeah, I don't know where the US is going from here. I mean, I've even listened to the president-elect Joe Biden, who I've supported since I'm a liberal, and I've been supporting Biden since day one mainly. But I've been so disappointed in him yesterday because he's been so soft on these hogs,
Yeah, he's
and
just another sellout to me. I
well, no, he's a good guy. He will be a good president, as I see it, and
He's just
he's
gonna do the
getting.
same things in a more harsh way.
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Joe Biden's values are far different from Donald Trump's values, and I think that's not going to happen at any point. It's just that so Joe Biden has founded his whole campaign on the fact that he wants to reunite the US. So in order to do that, you need to have some kind of support both from the left and from the right, and of course from the center. So that is why his approach is softer. But even comparing his statement and former President Barack Obama's statement, you can see the energy in Obama's statement. It's far different. And I've been so disappointed. Maybe I'm not saying this right, but I've been so disappointed in Joe Biden's statement as well.
It's yeah, politicians are always going to disappoint us, and this
Yeah,
is
of
why we
course.
can't put them on pedestals, because um, you see people put politicians on a pedestal, they glorify them, and by doing this they're overlooking their flaws. So when you do this and you glorify them, and when they slip up or make a mistake or do something that's not in align with the, what they say they've been doing, you disappointed, or you just blindly follow them. It's actually, yeah, I politicians are not your friends. I'm sorry to say, I
Oh,
am not riding that boat.
yeah, okay. So I'm fairly um I do agree we should not idolize them, but I do not agree that politicians are not your friends. So politics is a noble art, as it was conceived in Greece in ancient Greek culture. I think that politics, if it's done right, it can bring a society up together. Just look at Canada, for instance, at the difference between the US and Canada.
Canada is not
Canada
all
has
that great, mind you. If we look
Lin,
at what's this boys thing? Um, they're also rioting right now with Americans. Uh,
yeah,
what's
of course, you're always going to have hogs
they
in
start
any
they
society,
originated in Canada, um, Canada as
but
well. Justin
no, Canada.
Trudeau was he did the whole blackface, which also want to touch on later. But I think
Okay, so
Canada,
that's why I said no, no you should not idolize any politician.
yeah.
But there are actually politicians who do very, very good, and Justin Trudeau has been doing very, very good. That's the best progressive government in the whole world at the moment. So yeah, I do not think, and I do not agree with the fact that politicians are not your friend. And the disbelief and disenchantment in politics is what brings to certain movement, just like Trump. So Trump got elected just because he's anti-politics. Literally, he went there and he said politics suck. Literally the same things you're saying.
I didn't
But
say, no. The thing is, politicians are not working for the people. They come and they be like, "Oh, I'm your best friend. I'm your friend. I will do this for you." And then 4 years down the line, when it comes to re-electing or re-voting, they've done nothing for the people. It happens in South Africa every election time. Our ruling party goes around giving giving people hope and a false sense of security, and I'll do this for you, and giving them hampers and food and t-shirts, and they get voted, they get the vote, and then what happens 2 3 years down the line? Psh, nothing. No service delivery, no housing, all the money is disappearing.
Mm.
um
Um, as I see it, politicians are nothing more than a reflection, just a mirror of society, the society they're representing. So if a country is full of hogs, politicians are going to be hogs. So using politics as a wash basin just to wash your hands is not, so many people just get this idea that in a democracy you just go and vote and that's it. You've done. You have this right slash thing you have to do, and you voted and that's it. And you go home and wow, I can now complain about every single thing that person does. It doesn't work like that. So politicians reflect who has elected them. So if we can bring society to fully understanding what it needs, in that way we can have better politicians. So like in the US, so the problem is not politics and the solution is not politics. In the US, we have these workers, underpaid workers, who vote for this billionaire who's been raising taxes on them and lifting tax on the very, very rich, but they're still voting for him because they're not educated enough. So politics is not the problem, and politics is not the solution. Education for these people is. That's how I see it.
yeah, no, definitely it is educating the masses. But politicians take advantage of this, of people being uneducated. So instead of saying, okay, let's give communities resources, let's educate our communities, they keep people in the dark and then put their views on top of it, as if, so they create the problem and then they create the solution for the people. So it's not teach a man to fish, let's fish for him. That's how I see
Um,
it. That's how it
yeah, I
looks to
mean,
me.
you're fully entitled, of course, to your view, but I do not agree at all because this is the very same argument that Donald Trump himself has been using for many, many years. When he went to his inaugural speech, he said, I want to take power from Washington and give it back to you, the people,
But he
which is
hasn't done
actually,
that. Well, he's
yeah, but
given power
whatever,
to the wrong
you,
people.
yeah, you cannot give power to the people because if you give power to the people, that means anarchy.
It's
That
not
means that
giving them,
Washington is not.
it's not giving. But see, a person like him cannot give power to people. You need to educate people, but it needs to be unbiased education.
Yeah,
And
of
also, you
course,
can't have
but
a person like that in power who is encouraging violence and who's
yeah,
encouraging racism
um,
and upholding racism
I do
and white
agree,
supremacy.
considering all politicians to be filthy rats brings two things like Donald Trump, Nigel Farage in the UK, or Boris Johnson, Marine Le Pen in France, and many other, Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. He's a populist himself,
Yeah.
whatever he might say. So no, I do not agree with that vision, and I think that that's the primary concern, and that's the primary reason why many right-wing populist parties are getting it their own way, both in Europe and in Africa, increasingly, and in the US. I do not agree with that vision, and as I said, I think that's the main reason why the piglet of Donald Trump is there. But yeah, of course, as I said, everyone is entitled to their own view. The disenchantment in politics comes a long way, and it's going to be hard to restore trust in politics, which is something we can see in Asia, for instance. In Asia, you have these countries where, like Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, where people trust the governors. They do elect people who then they trust, and that's playing out because they've had so less political uprisings,
I
for
mean,
instance.
it's not all rainbows and butterflies in Asia. If you look at India, um, Indian nationalists
Yeah.
persecuting Muslims, China, concentration camps,
Uh
Pakistan
huh.
is in unrest, North Korea, we don't even know what's happened, what's the real story in that country. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah,
I
it's not all Asia.
Malaysia has their fair share of unrest. So the whole thing is not actually politics, it's the systems that people hold and the values that are running our world that's messing things up. So with America, the biggest problem there and the West in general is it's white supremacy. This is the system that's ruling the world currently. White supremacists, fascists, not held accountable for their actions, encouraging racism, upholding racism with their privilege, microaggressions, uh, whitewashing history, even. It's just living off old habits and old traditions that worked in the past for white supremacists. Yeah, it's we need to dismantle the systems, not really the politicians. I mean, that will fall into place, but it starts at grassroots level. So if you if we all we've come to the conclusion you can't do anything about the people at the top, but what you can do is start changing things from the bottom. So work with local communities who are making a change. Get involved with local organizations that are making a change, a positive change to society, and I think that's where we can start as citizens. We can shout and scream all we want online. We can go to protests, riots, anything, but we need to start making a difference in our own communities and encourage our family and friends to get involved as well. And that's, I think, for me, that's how we're going to change. And I think for me, that is power to the people. When you take matters in your community into your own hands and you start making a change from there. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, as I said, yeah, there are problems in our systems, of course, but I think we are a long way from dismantling them. And systems will not be dismantled, then they should not be dismantled. If you dismantle a system trying to make a new one, you have this
No, we're not.
portion,
You
this,
need to dismantle white supremacy to have equality. That's all that there is. As long
yeah,
as
but
white
it's not,
supremacy is in power, as long as we have white supremacy, black people, people of color are never going to be equal, never going to be considered equal, never going to be given equal rights. And
so, but
that's what needs to go.
holding white supremacists accountable does not mean we have to necessarily dismantle a democracy.
No, I didn't say
So
dismantle
what?
democracy. I said dismantle
Yeah.
white supremacy. Dismantle
Okay.
those values
And
that
that,
white supremacy uphold.
but that is mainly the system I'm talking about. That is mainly the US. Now, the thing about, in general, about the Western world is that we tend to believe that every single problem that's in the US, we have the same problem. It is not true.
It's not.
Uh,
In South Africa, it's actually the opposite, where so we had an apartheid government. It was whites ruled our country. They made all the laws, and eventually our country started going to shit. Things started going south because other countries were placing sanctions on us. Our economy was starting to suffer. What happened was they were like, okay, they caved. Let's give the ANC black people back their land. They can rule their country. So essentially, these people were then handed over a country that was falling apart. And so now we are trying to fix years of white supremacy now, but in such an extreme way that it's now like black people are getting all the jobs. You have to be black to get a job, and now it's like it's corruption and it's all these problems. But it's not black people's fault. It was because we were given a failing economy, and now I mean we've reached junk status.
okay, wait. If you, even if you're given a junk economy, but if you build up a system that privileges a specific type of people over the other, that is your fault. So, white supremacy is a problem in the US.
The
In
thing,
your case, black supremacy is a problem, and it is an issue brought by black people. So, as
yeah, it
long as
is.
we, yeah, because we can criticize the US, and it is completely fair to
Yeah, it's
criticize.
not that one race is perfect. No race is perfect. But you're
Absolutely,
gonna get the bad eggs in every race. You're gonna get people that sell you out in every race.
of course,
So the problem we're sitting with is people selling out their own people. Our government's not educating our people. They're keeping them poor so that they can take advantage of them. They're doing exactly what the white people did to them. And now it's just a cycle. The cycle just continues and it's not being broken. So they're using a white supremacist system, but it's just black faces.
hmm
It's not working. And
oh,
our country is taking a huge knock because of this.
oh, yeah. I mean, here in Europe, I think so. I think Europe is the best continent in the world. I'm a European supremacist, but yeah, I think Europe is the best continent. We've had our fair share. I mean, we've been at war for likely all history up until
Stealing
the last
land, yeah.
century.
Stealing land.
We have, of
Stealing
course, we have,
resources. I mean, Africa is the
we have.
most resource rich continent, let's be real.
Of course. And we have, and that is dreadful, of course. No one is going to say anything else about it. But at the same time, in terms of social issues, equality, I think there's no continent in the world that is as equal as Europe is. And I can see it by the standard. We actually get to talk about the gender pay gap being maybe, for instance, 90 cents to a dollar. In some realities, we have countries like Germany saying, like it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, the German government passed this new law requiring every single huge company to have at least one woman in their in the on the board. So we have these little things that are
Yeah, and
expected
I
from
see
our
that, and
governments.
Europe does look like for Africans especially. Europe is a land of opportunity. It's like, wow,
Exactly.
these people, but also if we go back into our history books, it's like Europe. took over our lands, stole our lands, kept us down, basically. So you did, I mean, European countries did have a head start. They did, create the standards. The bar was set by Europeans, and now you're making Africans follow and South Americans follow your standards when you had the head start.
We
And
no
now
no
you
no 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 no
expect
no.
the rest of the
I don't
world to
believe
play
that.
catch up after our lands have been
No,
stripped
I
and
don't
taken
believe that.
away. It's
I don't believe that colonialism and imperialism went on from the end of the 18th century to mid 19 to from the end of the 19th century to mid 20th century. So it's roughly less than a century. You cannot believe that a whole continent got a head start for less than a century.
no, it's
I
but
do
I
not
mean,
believe
if you
that's
look
true.
at the trauma and if you forget the whole thing, okay, the thing happened, but then the knock on effects later, the trauma, the generational trauma, the that goes with it, and people still recovering mentally, emotionally. It's a lot of other factors than just, oh, okay, now.
Who's still recovering emotionally now?
No, I'm just saying, it's so complicated. um yeah, we're still generations
So
later, you're still recovering from this.
okay, it is true, and but I do not believe that's a head start. I mean, especially on social issues, we could talk about the economy, right? We have different economies in Europe as well, but we can talk about the economy in general. Uh, but on a social standpoint, colonization and imperialism have played literally no role because on social issues, equality and equal rights, that has nothing to do with colonization. So even if you go and have this potential head start, which I do not believe or I do not agree with,
All
social
Europeans say
issues
that,
say what?
you didn't have a head start and everyone is equal footing, and what are Africans still recovering from?
No, we
Because
had.
you don't live here, you don't experience the things
Okay,
we go through
okay.
daily.
I'm rooted in Morocco, and Morocco has been maybe the last country in Africa to be colonized by the French. And the French left, and they literally left nothing behind. I mean, they did not like go back and help that country rebuild itself. That's why I'm saying that colonization has brought some bad things. But let's be clear, that is not a head start because Europe is called the ancient continent because we have a history that's so long that the less of a century of colonization brings literally and plays no role in our growing social equality. Social equality has nothing to do with colonialism and imperialism. That's what I'm saying. You can colonize every single country in the world and be socially unequal. And you can be just by yourself, not colonizing anyone, and have huge standards as far as social issues are concerned. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think to wrap the whole thing about Europe up, um, I'm so proud of our in general of our social issues that are so small that we tend to look at the US and try to get their issues and play it just like we have the same issues. We do not have here in Europe, in general, systemic racism like in the US. And I would like to make that clear because some people love to do that, but it is not true at all. And also, right or alt-right, it's actually held accountable here, because as I said, we've had extreme right governments, also dictatorships. So we kind of learned from that, and I'm happy about that. But there are there are other things that are rooted in culture, just like the blackface in the Spanish culture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I wanted to talk about as well. Um, where so for centuries Spain and I think the Netherlands as well, you have this three kings celebration, where the three kings brought gifts for baby Jesus. Um, and I know they believe that one of the kings were black. So they believe that to celebrate him, they need to paint their faces black. Okay, fair enough. We understand. Okay, he was black. Yes, cool, fine. There's no problem with that. The problem comes in when white people start painting their faces black. So blackface has historically been a way for white people to mock black people. So it started, I think, in the 19th century, where white people would over exaggerate black features and then act out all these stereotypes, that black people were lazy and black people were like this. And that's how it started. And so black people, when they found out about this, they like, listen, this is actually offensive to us and we don't like what you're doing, so don't do it. But now you keep getting these Spanish people like, this is our tradition, you can't do that, you can't tell us we can't do it, we'll carry on doing it. But if a tradition is offending someone, we're not telling you to stop that tradition completely. Just don't do the blackface. You can do everything else, just don't paint your face black. And I don't see what's so difficult about that.
Yeah. Uh, okay, so the thing about when I say
It's
it's cultural,
dehumanizing to black people as well.
yeah. So, uh, yeah, I mean, I've went through the story of it, and basically these three wise men or the three kings in I think it was like the Gospel of Matthew, but they came from the east, per se, and so but it was just later in an Armenian transcript that we found out that one was the king of Arabia, the other one the king of India, and the last one the king of Persia. But then one of them was black apparently,
Hmm.
and some think it's Balthazar who was the
Balthazar, yeah.
king of Arabia. Yeah, but some others think it was Gaspar, the king of India. So it's just Persia that's surely white
Hmm.
or not black, but the either the king of India or Arabia is black. So the thing is, with Spanish culture going fast forward in history, is they usually hold this parade
Hmm.
on the streets, and this parade, of course, has these three kings. Now, in the past, this parade could not be taken by black people, so they had only white people taking the parade, and white people had to resemble, one of them had to resemble a black person, so they used blackface. But fast forward in history again to now, I cannot in any way believe that in a city like Madrid, you cannot find a
Yeah,
black
exactly.
person to play the black
So
role.
I'm putting this into context. So for people who don't know why we brought this up, it was because this week, an F1 driver's father, Carlos Sainz, their family owns karting centers, and I've actually been to this karting center. It was really nice. So I'm very disappointed with this. Um, so they created a video for their Three Kings Day promotion or whatnot, and one of the actors in this video had blackface, and there was a huge backlash on social media to this. People were saying, what? I'm sure there's a black person that could have played that role of the Black King, and the fact that Carlos Sainz you know, in F1 they created this whole "we race as one" video, and Carlos Sainz said he's committed to ending racism. So people were confused as to, you know, who passed this video, who approved this video, why was it approved in this day and age, with the resources that you have, with the knowledge you have, why is this still happening? So that's the context of this whole blackface discussion.
And the thing I was disappointed with is that the whole discussion revolved around both Carlos Sainz, the son, and the father. So people, rather than go and dissecting the culture and the cultural problem that's there. So Spain has also this other thing about the matadors who, and when they do this parade with bulls and they just kill them at the end. They play with them and then they kill them. That is, of course, a cultural problem, another cultural problem they have. So what I think is that every single culture in the world has to go with times, and times evolve and things evolve, and you need to evolve yourself. So that's why I'm saying, yes, you've been portraying black people with a black face in the past because maybe you didn't have any eligible black person to play the black wise man. But now in Madrid, again, I cannot believe that you cannot find a black person to play
Exactly.
to play that role. I mean, they've been literally okay. They've been so Spain has also a part of alt-right problem, and they've been complaining about having allegedly too many black people. So if you have too many black people, why don't you ask black people to play black roles in the Three Wise Men parade?
The thing is also, the issue is, this isn't the first time the racism has been associated with that family. So last year, Carlos made a video where he was throwing shade basically at Chinese people and the food they eat, which was seen as racism by Chinese people. I mean, it's like I said on, so I've said it before. Things don't have to be outright racist, like, oh, this so and so race sucks, or they're so like, racism is not outright. Racism can be subtle undertones as well. So what he said was subtle, but it was racist, and Chinese people were offended by it. So it's not he's the first time he's been associated with this whole with racism, and people are starting to see a pattern with that.
Oh, right. So the thing you're talking about is a promotional video with the beer company
Yes.
Estrella Galicia.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I do not believe that Carlos, the son, at least I don't have too many infos on the father, but but Carlos the son is racist himself. I don't believe that. I mean,
I mean, just
look, I
because
know.
something doesn't offend you, the people you're talking about.
No, yeah, of course, I'm not saying that. Of course, many people have been offended, and look, I've seen what Carlos said, and I have many friends of my own who actually at times slip up and say things that are offensive to a whole race or ethnicity or whatever. But that does not mean they are generally racist. So what we tend to do lately is we take a person for what happens in their environment
Okay,
and we come to
but the
conclusions.
thing is with
I
that
do not
is,
agree with that
you need
approach.
to rectify that behavior. So we're not saying, okay, so Carlos, you need to bring it to their attention. Listen, this is racist. Educate them on why it's racist. Going
Yeah.
forward, make sure you don't align with things that are racist. the same thing happened with Lewis Hamilton when he said boys don't wear dresses. People will say, yes, we'll be in complete agreement with him. Yeah, but then you also get people, it's a new world now, this trans folk and people men who are feminine and whatnot. So it's going to offend a group of people. But the thing with Lewis is he didn't say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then just end it there. He took a step to educate himself in the matter. He spoke up on the issue and brought light to the situation. He reevaluated, he changed his ways, which was when I gained respect for him.
But what if Carlos did the same?
Exactly, that's what we're saying. We're saying Carlos needs to change his
No, no,
behavior.
no.
He needs to.
Wait. We're talking about a video that's gone out years ago. How do we know he's not being educated on the matter just because he doesn't use social media just as Lewis used to do at the time? That's what I'm saying. We
But
are
that he needs
pretending
to
to.
show people that he's changed.
No, no, he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. He's a
When
person. He's
you're a
entitled.
public figure,
He
you
wait,
you
wait,
owe
no, no, no,
it
no, no,
you
no, no,
owe
no.
it to your fan
You are
base.
you are entitled to show the specific parts of your
So
life
you
you
can show
want to
your
show.
racist side, but then you can't
Just
show when you
no, no,
fix
no, no, no.
that.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
slip up, you can make an error, but you're not required by anyone to show off that you're sorry at all, or that you've been
You're not
educated
showing
at
off. You're
all.
showing
You are
that you've been
wait.
held
You
accountable.
you are required not to make the same mistake in the future, but you are not required to go on Instagram and say, oh, people have got educated, this and that. No, at all, like zero. Okay, if you are a public figure, mainly you have not chosen to be a public figure because he didn't choose to be famous. He chose to be an F1 driver, right?
But you
And
know that fame comes with
in
that.
this yeah, whatever. But you cannot like give up on your career just because you become famous and then you have to put pictures on Instagram. So
No one's asking him to
with
post pictures.
in this era, whatever, and be it a tweet saying that you are sorry, you have been educated and everything. In this era of social media, we put ourselves on pedestals, and I do it sometimes myself, but we put ourselves on pedestals trying to say you should do this and you should do that and you should do this publicly. No, we are no one. We are no one, literally not a single one of us is entitled to say to someone else, this is what you should do, this is what you have to do. No one. In this era of self-entitlement, I'm growing sick of it. And as I said, I do this and I make this mistake sometimes, like expecting people to do something publicly. That is wrong. You should not expect anyone to do anything publicly. You expect them not to make the same mistake anymore, but you should not expect them to do it publicly. Another thing, though, is the company that does it. So the karting center, for instance, they just remove this tweet as if nothing happens. Now, the company itself, not the people, the company should be required to put out a statement saying that video was dreadful and everything. The company, it's a public company, it's out there, okay, but not about the people. People have different values than companies. Companies are just legal entities. People are people, and they are completely free to process and do whatever they feel like doing, and not what social media asks them to do. That's how I see it.
I don't see it like that. As a public figure, you owe it to your fans, especially when you have such a large fan base of a certain race. You can't just, oh, okay, brush it off, carry on with your life. Whether you, it's on the same time. Also, it's like Lewis Hamilton took it upon himself to protest against, to protest for Black Lives Matter. And now people feel that he needs to speak up on every single issue. So the marzipan issue, you know, people are begging him to say something. I agree with that part, that he doesn't have to take on stuff that he doesn't feel comfortable talking about, or that he doesn't want to talk
Absolutely.
about. But the
Hmm.
fact is, when you slip up, you need to address that particular issue that you slipped up on.
Did Lewis speak up on like went back and apologized and said he got educated on everything
He
after
didn't
that
say
men don't
he
wear the
got it.
dresses?
Well, I think he did a few interviews addressing the issue. So he didn't outright say, "Oh, you know," well, I actually can't even remember, but he did address the issue in a different light, to show that, he learned from
Yeah,
his mistake.
but maybe for some, not me, but maybe for some, that wasn't enough. Some others might say, and I've seen that since he slipped up on Instagram, where he has millions of followers, he should go back to Instagram and say that he made a
He
mistake.
did.
So you see, yeah, but some people might require him to go to Instagram. So you see what I'm saying is that every single person is entitled to deal with it the way they feel
Yes,
comfortable
but
with.
when
So Lewis,
when you are a brand,
yeah,
the
Lewis is a
whole
brand.
PR and thing,
Hmm.
it's much more than just now as a person. If I slip up now, I can change my behavior. I don't have to say anything, because who am I? But when you are a public figure, you're a brand, your name is out there, people are looking up to you. It's a different story.
Yeah, but you are not required to do something you are not comfortable with.
Okay, then you can still be a
So
shitty person, and then, people just
I didn't
lose
say you
interest in
shouldn't
you.
get educated. No, 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 no. You cannot be a shitty person. I did not say you should not be educated. You can get educated, but you are not
But
required to
then you're
do it
not
publicly.
changing the perception, you're not flipping the script. So
It's not your
people will
job.
carry on.
That's why.
So no, so
No,
people
no, no, no,
carry on
no. Your
thinking you're a
job is
shitty person.
your job. No, your job is being Carlos' job or Lewis' job is being an F1 driver. It's not being an educator. They're not teachers. Okay, and this
They're
is why
not,
I
but
think that
people look
social
up to
media.
them, to
Yeah,
people learn
whatever.
from them.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault because otherwise the other flip side of it is they don't have any social media. They have no engagement. So we get back to 90s Formula 1 when drivers were literally on a pedestal, not having an engagement with fans. Do we want that? I don't think so. That's why I think that social media is so overrated that people in general need a detox from it and need to get back to perception. Social media is a tool made to engage, but it is not made at any point to be required to do something you are not comfortable
So
with
then don't put
at
out
all.
shitty things in the first place.
I agree, but maybe you're not educated to do it. Then you get educated and you don't do it anymore. You are expected not to do some things anymore, but you are not expected to be publicly educated. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's as if jails, instead of being some rooms in a building, were public rooms put in squares where you say, okay, you killed the person on the street, you have to be in a bloody jail in that street, and people need to look at you and see that you've done wrong. That's literally what they're doing in North Korea. If you slip up in North Korea, they take you and they hang you in a square so that people can see you, and they do not do that so you get educated. That's dictatorship. That's extremism. That is no way what a democracy, what a civilized society should expect people to be doing. That is dangerous. I'm saying that. And I am no one, literally no one, and I slip up more than any other person on earth. I make more mistakes than anyone else. And I see people making mistakes, but at no point we should require them to do something publicly. That's the North Korean way of doing it. Again, that does not apply to companies. Okay, I think that companies, I believe in ethical companies that put out a statement and they apologize and whatever. There is companies, legal entities, but not people at any point.
Okay.
Let's agree to disagree. I mean, it's completely okay. We are not. Look, we are just two people sharing their ideas, and if you listening to us have agree with someone or disagree, or if we slip up, if I said something that is wrong, reach out to me and tell me that is wrong. I'm completely fine with that. But we are no one. We're nobody. I'm nobody. I'm completely entitled to my opinion. You're completely entitled to your opinion, and yeah, disagreeing I think, is healthy. I think is what makes us a thriving society. After all, otherwise it would be so boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my only
But
issue
yeah,
is Europeans, and I've had this experience with more than one person where it's just always, it's Africa's fault, you're not progressed. Like, if for me, it's all these issues we've talked about is deeper than any any of us. We can be here for hours discussing it. But yeah, it's a lot deeper than what we've
it's
talked
not your
about.
fault. It's not. No, 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 no. It's not your fault if you are not economically progressed and a bunch of first world countries, but it is your fault if you have social issues, because social issues have little to nothing to do with
If for,
colonialism
the,
that
for
has
me for
ended
me
in the
for me
last
how I see
century.
it, it's a knock-on effect. Whatever happened in the past had a knock-on effect, had a knock-on effect, had a knock-on effect, and eventually, it manifests in some kind of way in today's day
No,
and age. Anyways, we're not
that's
getting back into this discussion. It's been an
yeah, but
hour, and I have load shedding because I live in a third world country, so my internet's going to cut off at any point.
oh wow,
Yeah, I'm not
marvelous.
going to blame Europe for
Um,
it though. This is our
no, no,
this is
no,
mismanagement of
please do.
resources for real. It's mismanagement of resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, they keep
Um,
telling us like the coal is wet or oh God, I'm so tired of this. It's boiling hot and my aircon's off as well. So
wow.
yeah, I think we
Thank
have
God it's
another hour
winter
of
here, I'd
this.
say.
I told you we have an app and everything. They give us a schedule when they're gonna cut our electricity. It's too much in the middle of a pandemic where our daily figure has just reached 21,000 cases
Wow.
a day. So, yeah.
21,000 cases a day
Yeah, well, yesterday or the day before, um, sometime this week, it was 21,000 cases in a day.
in a day.
Yes, but also they have said that one of the townships in the Western Cape, Kailicha, the people have actually started developing herd immunity. So I don't know how far this is true or how um, well researched it is, but apparently I've heard from sources saying that people are starting to develop herd immunity. So this is interesting. I will definitely be looking into this more and reading up about it. But yeah, that's the
Wow.
situation. I'm staying at home.
21,000 cases. Well,
Yeah.
be safe.
Yeah,
That is
the
dangerous.
deaths I think are 30,000 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it's
Wait,
about
how could you have. Oh,
no,
cases. Oh,
yeah,
sorry. No, I went full stupid. I thought you
no
said
cases.
21,000 deaths.
No, no,
And
no,
I
no.
was like,
It's
wow,
been 30.
you're
So
going
since
to
the
be
pandemic
decimated.
started, we've had about 31,000 deaths.
Okay.
But like
Yeah,
in
sorry.
one day, there've been 21,000 cases.
No, I went full stupid. It's completely on me. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Oh
it's
god.
really sad. Like every day you're hearing about people you know or have met at least once in your life. Someone is dying. It's very morbid. So I'm just at
Yeah.
home trying to stay positive mentally, not COVID positive. Yeah, doing my meditations, taking a
Oh,
walk outside in the garden. Yeah.
great. I wish you all the best.
Everything
And
but reading books. I actually,
I mean, quite the contrary. Okay, wait. Let me hear me out. I wanted to start a book club, and you know what? I'm reading a book now, which I'm going to suggest to everyone speaking. No, to everyone listening. It's called The Spy and the Traitor, and it talks about this KGB Russian spy who got
of course,
disenchanted
you're reading a book like that.
with no. It's really great because it looks like an action movie. It looks like James Bond, but it is real. It is a spy called Oleg Gordievsky, who was working with the KGB, but then started working with the MI6, the UK Secret Service.
Jeez.
And it's great because it's like all this action in his life and living a double life, with the
So,
MI6 and the KGB. It's
so,
great.
so my boxes just came from Cape Town, and
Uh-huh.
I opened one of I opened with the box with all my books in, and I found this one that I forgot I bought. It's called The Woman Who Shot Mussolini. We were speaking about
Hmm.
him earlier, and I just thought of this book I
Yeah.
found in my book box. So I'm gonna start it, and I'll let you know how it is. It's
Please do.
by Francis Stoner Saunders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fiction. Um,
Oh, okay. Well, it is peculiar, the story of Mussolini, because he basically was escaping Italy after the US, UK forces went up Italy, and he was escaping north to enter Nazi Germany to seek shelter there, and he on the border with no, sorry, he was going to Switzerland because Switzerland is neutral, so no army can enter Switzerland, and so he was going there, but he had been stopped en route there, he and his lover, and they were taken to Milan to Piazzale Loreto, which is this big square that's now famous, and they basically hung them there by their feet, so upside down, and they just started beating them, and I think they put them on fire as well, and that is how fascism. I mean, it is how symbolically fascism ended, but fascism continued actually in Italy years after that,
yeah. So
up
this book looks
until.
interesting. I forgot I had it, so I haven't read it before. So I'm gonna. Let's see if I can start
Let me
it.
know. Let me know how it is.
If
Yes.
I get to it, yeah.
Anyway, it's been more than an hour,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's been so interesting. Really great to finally disagree on things and see our both perspective. As I said, the most interesting thing about this podcast is that we have so different backgrounds, that we have so different approaches to every single thing. So I
Yeah.
think that's what makes us,
I've
at
unmatched
least to
with
me,
I've
interesting.
unmatched with German guys for saying less than what you've told me today. So this
Oh,
is
thank.
progress with my willpower and my patience. I've been
That's
patient for
good.
an hour. Yeah, yeah. So I've unmatched with with Germans for less.
Um, okay, I feel honored. Again, if you feel like I've said something wrong, please come to me and educate me. You can find me on social media. You can just literally DM the JustNabz podcast on both Instagram
Don't
and
drag me into this.
Twitter. No.
I'm
I'm going to take it, of course. But really, I mean, I'm genuinely saying this. If I said something wrong, I need to be educated, and I'm not required to, but I will come in the next episode or whenever and say, yes, I was wrong. This is why, and this is why. So if I need to be educated, please do educate me. And yeah, I wish you all the best.
What's your
Stay
song? So
safe.
last week we didn't do song of the week. What's your song
Right.
of the week this week?
Oh yeah, I have one, and it's
And
by Elton John. So he sang
I knew it was
that
gonna be an old
for
one.
Yeah, it's Elton John, and he sang that for The Lion King. So it is "Can You Feel the Love
Yes,
Tonight?"
I love that song.
Yeah. Oh, finally,
I
finally.
love The Lion King. You don't understand. I'm obsessed with The Lion
Yeah,
King.
me too.
I have a Simba mug and I have a Lion King t-shirt. And when I was
I
younger,
love.
when as a kid, I only wore Lion King clothing.
Wow, I love The
I
Lion
love
King,
it
and
so
yeah.
much.
So I've been listening to the whole track list, and that
The
is my song
soundtrack
of the
is
week. I have
actually
to
a
say.
banger. Like when I was at the office, when I still worked at an office, I would listen to that soundtrack to keep me sane.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yes, and what's your song of the week?
Mine is by a German artist. I know after
Okay,
this whole discussion. So it's he's actually I think he's of Turkish origin.
okay,
Um,
yeah,
it's called Angst. I looked up the meaning
okay.
of the song. I think it's Fear by
Mm-hmm.
Apache 207. I hope I said his
Okay.
name right. Simon did correct me in one of the episodes, but yeah, that's my
Oh,
song of the week,
all right.
Angst. German music is good. I'll give them that. Especially
Uh,
those Arabic German ones. I love that.
uh-huh. Absolutely. Bear in mind that Turkish people are not Arabic.
I know, no,
Just,
no, no. I
just
know,
so
no,
you.
no.
Oh,
He doesn't sing in Turkish at all. He's just of Turkish descent.
okay.
But there are artists like I think Samra, uh, a few other artists. I can't think off the top of my head, but who sing in Arabic
Mm-hmm.
and German. It's very cool.
Absolutely. Right. Let's call it a day. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you
It's
for
been it's
joining us.
been really
And I
great.
know there are some
Wish
people who haven't been listening from the start, but they've been playing catch up with all our episodes. So thank you for joining us and for playing catch up. We release new episodes every Friday. But you know, if there are gremlins, don't hold it to us. But Friday's our day. Yeah. So
yeah. Welcome if you're
welcome
new.
and thank you for joining us.
Yep, absolutely. And wish you all the best. See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.